Hey guys, and welcome back to another What If here. Today we're doing part 3 to With Naruto guys, second chance, but that's a Gale remake, and I have found out why OBS isn't exactly happy with pausing and resuming. It's actually due to the NVAC encoder, or NVAC HVAC. What one do I use? Output is NVAC H264 encoder. That's what I'd been using, so graphics card handles the encoding for streaming and recording, but for some odd reason, either due to my graphics card or due to OBS, it went screw you. Screw you, did the middle finger. So pausing would be fine, but it'd be, say, if I spent maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds or minutes just thinking over what I want to say before resuming, you'd go, nah, sorry, but we're stopping. So, yes, that was the reason why. And so I'm now using software, which just means CPU has to do it instead of the graphics card. Anyway, I've probably bored some of you to a lot of you, but hey, if you've been having a similar issue, turn it from NVAC HVAC, whatever thing it's on for you, and put the recording output to software, and it should be able to pause. I've been able to. Well, pause and resume the recording. Anyway, if you want to know what happened in the last part, go and watch it. There'll be a link in the description down below too, where you can watch the playlist, where you can see part 1 and part 2. Well, yes, where you can see and watch part 1 and part 2. And any other future part that you guys may want to this. And, yes, so let's get into this. Naruto would feel prodding to her side as she'd somewhat she'd open her eyes and yawn. She'd somewhat look round and would go, huh? I'm in the classroom, and she'd just stare at Shikamaru, who'd been sitting by her. Shikamaru would just look at her and go, you really fell asleep. She'd just somewhat would nod and go, I guess it was a dream then. As he'd crack an eyebrows like, oh, so what was the somewhat dream about? About becoming a Genin and what my Genin team could possibly be. It's like, though, has my team been called yet? He'd shake his head, no. She'd somewhat sigh in relief as they would somewhat turn back as Iruka would say Team 7 would consist of Sakura Harano, Naruto Uzumaki, and Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto would sigh and would somewhat curse to herself, damn it, why does her dream have to be right? As Iruka would somewhat then continue on going, Team 8 will consist of Hinata Hyuga, Shino Abume, and Kiba Inuzuka. Team 9 still ongoing, so Team 10 will consist of I just said his name. Oh damn it. Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akamichi, and Ino Yamanaka. Your team sensei, about you've got an hour as it'd be cut off from a knocking at the door. They'd all somewhat look at the door and they'd somewhat all be thinking, who's that? I should think maybe a sensei came a bit early. Like, yeah, who knows? As she'd somewhat look over, being of course at the top left hand corner. Of course, the window seat, so she'd looked over and could see a mop of silver grabbed the phone of her hand. She was just thinking, no, it can't be. It can't be right. No way can. She was thinking, no way can Sensei be an hour early for once. The river Ruku would go, Hatake-san, you're an hour early. Kakashi just somewhat nod and go, yeah, and, well, they haven't had lunch yet. Oh, I'll buy them lunch. We can get to know each other over lunch. Who could somewhat sigh and go, well, come in then. Who does? Who could go, class, this is Hatake Kakashi. Jonin Sensei of Team 7, right? As Kakashi would nod in confirmation. Azuru could go and then turn to Kakashi and go, so, Hatake-san, how long was you waiting outside for? And Naruto would just be thinking, wait, what does he mean? Like, Kakashi in my life was 3 hours late to everything, and yeah, Kakashi was like, well, he'd somewhat rub the back of his neck sheepishly, as he'd say, 2 hours? I somewhat just finally gave in and just knocked on the door as everyone just goes slap-jawed it. Especially, Naruto's mouth just hit the floor, as obviously in a previous life, Kakashi was 3 hours late, I think. Now, this Kakashi, because she'd remembered, obviously, that Kami had said that some things are going to be different this time around. And, yeah, their sensei's 3 hours early, was an hour earlier, and they'd been waiting for 2 hours. Yeah, so she somewhat, it's like Mona, she was just thinking, oh god, if he tells us to get to a train ground at 7, I guess he would just expect us to be there at 4 in the morning. Yeah. You could somewhat just shake his head as you go, geez, you're always early. Kakashi would just shrug, hey, I've tried being late once. And the one time I was somewhat late even by a couple of seconds, it didn't feel right, so I decided to run from then on to come early, and it somewhat morphed into coming 3 hours early into everything, so oops. You could just shake his head in amusement, though. Yeah, as Kakashi would say, well, Team 7, come follow me, as Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura would get up and would walk to Kakashi. Kakashi would somewhat seeing Naruto would somewhat smile, and he'd remember the somewhat slight warning that Hiruzen gave him, which was, do not underestimate her. Underestimating her will more than likely get you killed. And Kakashi wasn't really one to obviously underestimate people this time around in this life, but I knew somewhat, and obviously you could very much know that age was just a number, and there were people obviously maybe like younger, probably the same age, if not younger than Naruto herself, who can easily beat him. So, yeah, he's somewhat going to be varying when they do spar. That's if he passes them, and also this time around, Hiruzen had kind of declared that ever since he became Hokage, that every Genin exam, obviously because the tuning can decide if they pass or fail. This time around, they could decide to pass maybe one, or even just one or two, or of course all three of his or her Genin team. So if two of them are being dicks to one person, and that person had straight like obviously told them, hey, let's work as a team, would be able to obviously get them, and the other two went, no, go away, we don't need you, or I don't need your help, and whatever. Then yeah, more than likely the general will fail the other two for being jerks and not willing to work with another person. And yeah, Kakashi was somewhat famous for just failing whole teams because they didn't work at all with one another, and he'd once told a Genin team to work as a team, and they proceeded to do the exact opposites. So yeah, interesting he'd focus, and like the Johnny when he'd told who was in front of all the other Jonin that they'd failed his test, and he was an insider, as Kakashi said. And you know what the worst thing was, Hokage-sama? Hiruzen looked at him and said, what was that? I even told them to work as a team. Everyone just couldn't believe that. It was just like, you're joking, right? Nope. And yeah, they were floored. They just were surprised that again, team that was even told by that possible Jonin instructor to work as a team, proceed to go, screw you, I don't need to work as a team, and proceed to do the exact opposite. So yeah, anyway, flashback over, I guess. Yeah, didn't intend for that. Anyway, so yeah, they would arrive, and Kakashi, they would walk out of the classroom and would head to Ichiraku Ramen, knowing that, or at least for right now, he didn't want to try and play the let's go around all the Konoha restaurants and see which ones allow Naruto to enter. Yeah, he didn't want to obviously do that, and he knew obviously really Ichiraku was the only one that he knew of that Naruto could even eat there for free if she didn't have money. Though also somewhat even helped more that she also somewhat this time around actually somewhat during the summertime, so when the academy was somewhat out, and it was somewhat in high demand, she would generally somewhat head and help them out, be that somewhat just generally in the back, so either cooking or washing up, one of the two. And yeah, of course with that, Chuchi had pretty much given out a permanent percentage off due to the fact she somewhat obviously worked there, and that the first, for almost anyone, it'd be the first 2 or 3 bowls of ramen for her, it'd be free. Well, for her, she generally eats 20 bowls of ramen. If she's having a conversation with someone, generally 20. If she's somewhat there for, say, lunch, it's generally then, if she's been training, then you're looking at maybe 45, 50 bowls. Due to the fact, of course, metabolism system would be at that point craving food, obviously some type of nutrients to generate into the body's energy. And yeah, so yes. Anyway, they'd arrive and they'd somewhat sit down. Sasuke, he'd turn to Sakura and go, Sakura would somewhat order and ask for a somewhat small bowl, though Kakashi would somewhat go to look at him and say make that a normal sized bowl. Sakura just stared at him like, WTF, what, like, what I want type thing, like, looked angered at Kakashi, and he'd looked back at her and had told her in a somewhat stern voice that if you're going to be Ikinoichi on my team, you're going to be that normal sized bowl of ramen, and I don't give a damn about dieting or looking pretty or anything like that. You're eating that whole. Otherwise you're not leaving it. I don't care what the time is, I'll sit here until you all eat all that complete bowl. Sakura somewhat gulped and it just somewhat nodded, though she somewhat complained to herself that her image or that would be ruined. Sasuke had ordered a normal sized bowl. Kakashi also ordered a somewhat 2 bowls, as he could somewhat eat. Well, he, of course, being around Minto and Kush afterwards and somewhat having them as like his kind of adopted family, he'd grown to actually like ramen, and well, he didn't mind it, but he'd grown to like it and could stomach 2 on the very rare case, maybe the occasional maybe like 3rd bowl, but more times than not it's 1 to 2 bowls. If he had nothing in his house for like, so that he could obviously cook himself breakfast, he would go to eat like ramen and get a bowl of ramen. Lunchtime, like it generally is generally 2 bowls. So he'd order his normal 2 bowls of ramen. I would somewhat nod and would look at Naruto and go, "You're somewhat usual." As Naruto would think for a couple of seconds before shaking her head and going, "No, 10 bowls should be fine." As everyone would just look at her, she'd go, "What?" I generally eat like 20 bowls if I'm talking to someone, and well, 40 if I've been somewhat training. If I've generally had a nice, somewhat just generally plain relaxing day and it's coming to lunch and I'm just feeling like being a bit lazy in that, I'll generally have 30 bowls of ramen. They'd all somewhat just stare at her and she'd go, "Why? It's not the only thing I have. Of course I cook my own breakfast and dinner, of course. Don't just eat ramen." And yeah, Kakashi was somewhat wondering how enough she could stomach that much. Sasuke didn't really care, and Sakura was just wondering how enough Naruto kept such a beautiful feminine figure with so much ramen intake. Yeah, and she'd somewhat realised obviously what their sensei was saying was somewhat, now obviously, from the outcome of Naruto, well, it was somewhat true, and she didn't exactly want to imagine what would happen if she kept on dieting. Heck, she could probably get the team killed, and she didn't really want that, so yeah. With that, they'd somewhat introduce themselves now. Well, Sasuke and Sakura's one would be Sakura's one would be the exact same canon. Sasuke's one would be similar, though the only part would be different would be, well, he'd say, "What have is not a dream, but a goal, and I will make it a reality. And that is to find my sister and to somewhat drag her kicking and screaming back to Conehurst, or at least find out what truly happened on the night that she massacred my clan. That would go, but." And Mitsuo just started accepting that Sasuke in this timeline had a older sister instead of a brother. Then she's somewhat wondering, was Sasuke an actual guy, or was Sasuke secretly a gal under a genjutsu to look like a boy? But then if he hated Fangirl so much, then why wouldn't he just revert into, so he must really be a boy then? Yeah. Well, Kakashi just somewhat nod and would look at Naruto. Naruto would go, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. My likes are ramen, my precious people, training, and, well, cooking. My hobbies are training, cooking with a bit of gardening thrown in there. And my dislikes are rapist perverts, people who are sexist, people who underestimate Kunoichi and don't believe Kunoichi can be actual, Kunoichi aren't really, say, strong, that they're somewhat weak and fangirl or just want to somewhat be get laid or anything like that. Yeah. I guess my dream or goal for the future is to get just strong, to get strong enough so that I can protect my precious people and Konoha as a whole, no matter if the people like me or hate me. If they're Konoha be that shinobi or civilians, I'll probably end up attacking you. Now, Kakashi would somewhat just would feel happy that obviously he's just not somewhat brooding and something else. So, yeah. Though, because with obviously Sasuke, he could feel he could hear the hints of somewhat, instead of just bringing her back or finding out why she did it, sounded more like he wanted to kill her but didn't want to say it. Which was, yeah. Anyway, Kakashi would then introduce himself. She'd go, as you already know, Kakashi Hatake. My likes are, guess training and reading. My dislikes are perverts, which would surprise Nato again, because obviously I sensei Kakashi in her previous life, and was obviously a giant, pretty much like a classic pervert, yeah. And he'd carry on with his introduction. I'm not gonna really say it. And with that, they'd somewhat obviously eat through their ramen. Sakura, throughout the introduction, they'd only ate 1/3 of the bowl, though she was still very much eating. Sasuke also had eaten around half the bowl. Kakashi was on his second, and Naruto was on her 8th bowl already. Which, they'd obviously tell them though that only out of the 9 teams that passed, only 3 of them, only possibly 2 to 3 teams may pass. They would all, Sasuke and Sakura would somewhat golf. Naruto wouldn't, as she already somewhat would know this. And Kakashi would somewhat just tell them to not eat breakfast, that if they didn't want to puke, to not eat breakfast, and to work as a team. And with that, he'd paid for all their meals. Nato, at the end of that, had had just finished her last bowl. Sasuke would have half the bowl left, and so would Sakura. So they'd somewhat certain continue to eat, whereas Naruto and Kakashi would get up and would leave. Naruto knowing that those two wouldn't exactly want to work as a team with her, and if they did, well, they'd find her somehow. And yeah, with that, well, she'd go off to somewhat possibly maybe find Konohamaru or that, and spend a bit of time with him or that. And with that, the next day would roll around as she'd get up and get into a somewhat kunoichi outfit, which was a somewhat dark red skirt, a dark red skirt, a dark red, somewhat dark blue, a dark red jacket with the Uzumaki symbol on the back. And yeah, she had a hitai on her head, which was, had a dark red ribbon as well. And she also had somewhat choker around her neck, which had with a somewhat heart in the middle with two foxes either side holding it up. And yeah. And with somewhat kunoichi sandals. Yeah. Of course, underneath the somewhat skirt, she had black, highly flexible black short shorts, so that she can do splits, and that is, she's very, very flexible, and doing stuff like splits, and that is very much in her fighting style when she's somewhat switch up. So from, if she's fighting one-on-one, she won't really do stuff like splits or that. Though if she's fighting obviously 2-on-1, so 2 people against her, she will start using splits and other stuff to help her a lot. Yeah. Anyway, with that though, she'd have Kakashi told them to meet up at training ground 7 at 10, and of course he told them that if I ask you to meet me up at 10, I'm meaning 7. I'm just setting the time for 10 for me, so I actually arrive on time and not, obviously, because I don't use, arriving at, 4 o'clock in the morning if I tell you to meet me up at 7. They just nodded, and, now after having breakfast and that, and somewhat getting her things ready, she'd headed out towards training ground 7, and 2 to 3 minutes later she'd arrive. 3 to 5 minutes later she'd arrive, seeing Kakashi there, Sasuke. Then she'd go, am I late? They'd somewhat both kind of look at her. I would somewhat look up at her, and Kakashi would shake his head. No, you've got around 10 minutes left. There's 10 minutes left. She would just nod, and those 10 minutes would go by with no Sakura. Couple more minutes would go by as Kakashi would somewhat sigh and would go, well, seems like I'm going to be dragging her here, as he would then disappear in a puff of smoke. Not in a leaf sunshine, and would reappear a minute or so later outside of the Howler's residence. Kakashi would then knock on the door, as a couple of seconds later Sakura's mum would open the door and go, Hake, Sama, how may I help you? Somewhat here to bring your daughter. She's meant to be at training on 7, 5-6 minutes ago. Someone just go, she's still in bed, I'll go and get her up right now. Cassio'd someone nod and go, well, yeah, tell her she's got at least like 2-3 minutes to get dressed, and be that if she's naked, I'll go in there and sunshine her out. She's had 6 minutes to get her back to training ground, training ground. She hasn't. The Sakura's mum would somewhat just nod before running up and getting her and screaming at her daughter to get up. And yeah, after a minute and a half, she'd somewhat run down, kind of raking her hair, somewhat slight mess, and glaring at her sensei. Though Kakashi just not really somewhat caring, would put his arm on her before sunshine away. Though, yeah, Sakura, such from not doing her, I didn't exactly had worn any underwear. She just somewhat threw on a somewhat dress, and then somewhat wanted to give her sensei peace of mind before going back up to do her hair and put actual underwear and stuff on. So yeah, when she looked around and she'd seen obviously Sasuke and Naruto, she'd somewhat paled as she'd just stare somewhat glare at her at Kakashi. She'd go, hey, I wasn't ready yet. Kakashi would just look at her and go, so you came out. That meant you was ready, so tough. So, and you had now 7.5 minutes to. You should have been in here. You should have been here 7.5 minutes ago. So what? But you told us you were here at 10. No, I said to you is that if I ever say meet me at say something like 10 or 11 to minus 3 hours from that, so that would have been 7 or 8 o'clock. Of course, I said meet me here at 10. That meant to use come here at 7 as I'll be here waiting. Sakura just go oh. And yeah, I'm not really going to go much. I'm not going to really go much into the fight, though Sakura's somewhat, though he'd obviously somewhat see that both, he'd known Sakura hadn't ate anything, because, yeah, though Sasuke, from what he could see from Sasuke's face, even when he arrived, he also hadn't ate breakfast. He'd looked at Naruto and could see that she very much did, and go, as I seen Naruto, you had defied my order. I told you not to eat breakfast. She'd just stare back at him and go, sorry, Sensei, what did you say? As Kakashi just somewhat it sound go, I said, I heard you. You didn't order us to not eat breakfast. You told us that if we didn't want to puke, that you suggested to not eat. I said somewhat nod, and we'd somewhat then look at Sasuke and would go, so why didn't you eat breakfast then? As Sasuke would somewhat just glare at Kakashi. As well, he couldn't exactly obviously say that he ordered him so, because Naruto just defused that beforehand. That was probably why he did it, so he couldn't try and use that as a argument. Yeah. Anyway, though Kakashi then obviously tell them that you've got until, they'd have until 10 o'clock to get 2 bells from him. As he would even tell them once again to work as a, and that, you tell them and that the only way to get these 2 bells is to work as a team, and with that, he would pull out a timer, set it for 10, and would hit it. Would tap the button on the top to start it, and they would all dispel. While with disappear, you could easily feel where Sasuke and Sakura was, but couldn't at all feel Naruto's chakra signature. Why not, was he else? Well, Uzumaki's have the, I think he was set in canon, I'm not 100% sure, but due to the fact Uzumaki's have such a connection to their chakra, they can suppress it to absolute 0, meaning that no matter how good of a sensor you are, you cannot pick a Uzumaki up. They could walk, say, straight past, say, I think if they're suppressing their chakra is to absolute 0, they could walk past a Hyuga, and the Hyuga could somewhat have their Byakugan active and see nothing. They would just obviously see the background and not see the person walk straight past them, as they're suppressing their chakra, no chakra flow. Though the real reason why Uzumakis can do that is because, in my opinion, I'd think maybe they've got, say, have a dual network system, and what I mean by that is their main chakra network, the one that obviously say that they use to augment their strength and speed, and that is the one that obviously leaks out the chakra to obviously have a somewhat obviously like presence that people who've learned how to sense, or natural born sensors sense that leaking chakra. So if they stop that, the flow through their main chakra network, the somewhat subsystem, I'd think would be the main one that would be the main one to somewhat keep them alive. So both would obviously originate from the heart, but would go to, though the obviously main one to keep the person alive would go to the vital organs to keep obviously the person alive, whilst the main network went to obviously the main body, like muscles, eyes, and whatnot. Yeah, that's my thought on how they can suppress their chakra to absolute 0. I'd obviously be curious on what you guys would think in the comments down below. Anyway, yeah, Sakura's defeat would go down like in canon. Kakashi would put her under a genjutsu, which, yeah, though firstly, before that had happened, Naruto went to Sasuke and Sakura and asked and told them that they should that we should team up because they aren't strong enough to take Kakashi down. Sasuke scoffed at that and had told her to somewhat F off, and that he didn't need her help, and that he could take Kakashi down by himself. Naruto decided and had went to ask Sakura. Sakura had said somewhat a similar thing, and so Naruto just decided to kind of watch them, and when Kakashi put Sakura under a genjutsu, once he disappeared, to go and somewhat have their somewhat spar/fight in canon, while Kakashi would obviously fight with Sasuke. Naruto went over and broke the genjutsu over Sakura, and Sakura somewhat, after realising it was a literal genjutsu, Naruto had asked once again to Waki's team, and Sakura had once again turned her partially down. So Naruto somewhat went fine. I've tried twice. There's no point asking a third time, because third time would probably be the exact same thing. And she'd somewhat laugh to us, Sasuke, which should probably amuse that Sasuke would possibly be in the ground by now, which he was. Kakashi then somewhat went back to the main where they somewhat started, and Naruto would proceed to pull Sasuke out and try ask to work as a team, and Sasuke just somewhat snored and had said no, and that he almost had a bell, and that she would just get in his way, and they'd proceed to charge immediately at Kakashi. Kakashi, seeing this, had just knocked him out. Though, Naruto was already gone by the time Sasuke had started to charge. So Kakashi still couldn't find Naruto, and had been trying. And somewhat he'd been trying to fill her chakra, and yet he couldn't. It was like she just vanished from the face of the earth. And so, after knocking out Sasuke for possibly an hour, possibly for a good hour or two, Sakura then, after seeing that, had kind of blind rage that their sensei, and especially what he'd done earlier, as she literally only ran a dress and no underwear or anything like that, and they'd charged at her sensei, and she had found herself going into Dreamland as well. And though with that, Kakashi had somewhat returned back to the place, the kind of area, after somewhat time both Sasuke and Sakura up. He'd found Naruto somewhat in the area as well. He still couldn't sense any chakra at all from her, and he could see her. He couldn't sense her, and it was driving him insane. And then it racked him in the head as he'd remembered what Kushin had told him once, that if you're ever fighting against an Uzumaki or sparring against them and you're wondering why you can't sense them, it's because because they're suppressing their chakra to 0, which means their strength and speed is not augmented by chakra, and that if she can crack the ground with her chakra, if she can say, and if she's somewhat, obviously, if he or she was fighting with you and you can't sense 0 chakra and you're struggling, if they start channeling chakra, you'd probably most likely die. And realizing that, had immediately pulled out a kunai and had started walking somewhat as silently as he can, and suppressing as much of his chakra as he can, remembering that Uzumaki's also had Kushin had told him that Uzumaki's it was a more common ability called the Mind's Eye of Kage. That was a somewhat common Geki Genkai of the clan, being obviously the best sensor Geki Genkai out there. As well, there's no other sensory Geki Genkai that would give the user a 20 kilometer at awakening, which would be, it'd just always be awakened the second you're born. And it'd be a 20 kilometer, I think it's said in canon, a 20 kilometer pinpoint accuracy. In a 20 kilometer range, you had pinpoint accuracy. Yeah, that's damn big. Very, very, very big. And Naruto, of course, had learned that. Obviously, she could also sense, people's emotions. And anyway, so she could, and with that, she'd say, well, she'd still with her research would go, I know you're there, Sensei. As she'd somewhat pat the ground next to her, come sit down. And, well, Kakashi would work an eyebrow before somewhat slowly going forward, and he'd put his kunai away and would eventually sit down. As they would somewhat, well, they'd have a bit of, they'd actually talk back and forth for a good hour and a half. And she'd revealed that she knew, obviously, who her parents were, and Kakashi had been obviously would be incredibly surprised and asked how, and she'd said, well, it's obvious, my father looks at me every day. And, well, I've got one blue eye, and plus, obviously, like, yeah, she'd say the reason why. And he'd nodded and he'd said, and your mum, well, for one, the people call me the second coming of the red hot habanero, and I practically look somewhat exactly, I guess, like my mum, besides instead of having two violet eyes, I have one violet eye and one blue eye. Cash would somewhat nod at that, and plus my hair is somewhat slightly different blood red colour, but it's similar enough that obviously, yeah. Cash would somewhat nod, and obviously why there was somewhat, he was talking about how inclusion, so somewhat was, and she'd tell Kakashi that her goal, besides on what she'd said, was also to be faster than her father and stronger than her mother. That her father was really not really that physically strong, but was mainly just fast due to knowing the higher shin. She wanted to become fast, really fast, faster than him, than the yellow flash, her father, and much stronger than her mother. Yeah. Kakashi somewhat and just nodded, and yeah. As then obviously an hour, the somewhat time would go by as they would hear the bell go off. Kakashi then would somewhat get up, or try to get up, as he wouldn't be able to move, as he would turn his head to her, as he'd go, why can't I move? She'd say, as Cash would go, yeah, well, hang on, I can't even nod, I can blink, and move my head side to side, but that's it. She'd somewhat smack and go, well, remember I told you, I said I wouldn't fight you, but it didn't mean I wouldn't, I said I wouldn't somewhat engage you in like hand-to-hand combat or that, but it didn't mean I wouldn't engage you in any other field, as Kakashi would somewhat think about it, as he'd then go, I don't know, as he'd go, figured it out yet? I've been leaving hints and that occasionally throughout our conversation, as Kakashi would somewhat pause, he'd go Fuinjutsu, as he'd somewhat nod, as he'd go, what's your level? I'm nearing Uzumaki Mistress, or Mastery of Uzu Fuinjutsu. She's a level 14 at the moment and is learning 15. Uzumaki level 13, 14 and 15 are in time space. So time space Fuinjutsu. So pretty much stuff like, well, kind of similar to the Hyroshin, but to a much more complicated level. And yeah, Kakashi would go wide-eyed and would know obviously about Uzu, like what an Uzu mistress is. an Uzu Funjutsu mistress is meaning an Uzumaki female. So a female Uzumaki. So Uzumaki. So a female Uzumaki that uses Funjutsu that is a master, meaning they have completed all levels 1 through 15 and are masters at 1 through 15. And yeah, for Naru to be nearing Uzu Funjutsu mistress level was insane. Obviously, like, the male counterpart would just be master. They were just masters at it, not a mistress at it, as the girls had a way of somewhat, or at least they'd also learn a way to kind of have an aura around them, though that aura wasn't always around them, though for Naru, or Naruto in particular, that aura was always somewhat there, which would just pull you and gravitate you in, make you relaxed, calm and relaxed. And yeah, and of course, for a person that used Funjutsu, that was the perfect outcome, to have your enemy simply just, walks right into you and sit down and talk to you like you're their best friend, and that, yeah. And yeah, Kakashi walked straight into a trap as he'd ask what was the seal that she'd used, and she'd said a kind of partial movement seal. As Kakashi would go wide-eyed, because there were two types of partial movement seals. One just limited the movement of one arm or that, as it would limit partial movement in the body. So it'd be like, say, obviously, like Konoha's partial movement would stop movement in, say, they applied it to the hand, it would stop the hand from moving. But for, obviously, in Uzumaki, they could choose it to stop, to pretty much, say, allow movement in maybe only the head. Obviously, the vital organs that needed to be able to move to keep said person alive wouldn't be stopped, because if they did, well, then the person would die. And that was also an ability of the seal, though she obviously didn't exactly want to kill her sensei, so she allowed those to function. Yeah, Kakashi, though we'd still say, though you still didn't get the bells, and she'd said, "Oh, why did you say that, sensei?" As she'd turn off the alarm on the clock and would even without doing hand signs, would release it, as Kakashi would be able to finally move his arms and his legs, as he'd get up and look down, as he'd go, "When? I didn't even feel or notice," as she'd go, "Oh, when you'd got lost, when you'd explained, but like when you'd went into about my mum and how she was somewhat gorgeous but incredibly deadly, and that." And yeah, Kakashi just kind of face palmed at himself, as he just went into his memories. He completely had forgotten about that, and she'd realised that and had taken advantage and had just swiped the bells from him. He hadn't noticed, and yeah, she'd went over and gave them bells and went. So, and at that time, just as Sasuke, from the bell going off, Sasuke and Sakura startled, was awakened, and yeah, so after seeing them somewhat come around, they would walk over, and she'd go, "Well, sensei, do we pass, as Kakashi would think it over carefully. As he'd think, well, he could pass Naruto herself, as he had made 2 clones, one to watch Sasuke, one to watch Sakura, to see it before he went to put Sakura under Genjutsu and Sasuke, and to drag Sasuke around to somewhat possibly fight against Sasuke, to see if Naruto would interact with them, or to see if they would obviously go and group up to see, and he'd seen, and both his clones had dispelled at obviously different times when Naruto had interacted with them, and he'd realised that Naruto very much twice in fact had asked to work as a team, and they'd both times had meant F you. And yeah, Kakashi would decide, as he'd then somewhat remember, there was a team not too long ago that their sensei had somewhat lost it, and had sadly, the Anbu, they'd managed to get there in time to save 2 of the 3 Genin, but sadly, one of the Genin sadly died. Though this team was this was a team that, and that had happened a week ago, and Hiruzen was somewhat curious to know if, obviously, one of his Jonin would maybe fail 1 or possibly 2. If it was a more experienced Jonin like Kakashi, and he'd maybe failed, say, Sakura or Naruto, or even just say failed Sasuke, and obviously Kakashi, being more than skilled enough, would be able to handle a 4 Genin. He'd be more than skilled enough. And or maybe he would just pass 1. Anyway, and so he'd tell them that, he'd go Sasuke, Sakura, they'd somewhat park up and look at Kakashi, as he'd look at them and go, yous will be returning to the academy, yous fail. They both would go wide-eyed, and Naruto would go, wait, but don't you need, but what? Naruto, for one, you pass, and for another, Hokage-sama, since he became Hokage, gave even his Jonin Sensei, aka somewhat me and the rest of the Jonin Sensei, and ones before us, the option to fail and pass as many as we want if our team consisted as it does currently with 3. I can pass 1, 2, or all 3 of you. If it consists of 4, I could obviously pass all 4, 3, 2, or 1. I don't need to pass all of you. So you just go, oh, okay. And yeah, though Sasuke and Sakura would somewhat glare at him, and Kakashi would somewhat go, Naruto asked you both to work as a team, and you both went no, quite rudely at that. But you both said no. I told you twice to work as a team, and you didn't. Sure, Naruto had asked you and had very much given both of you the option to try to work as a team, and yet you both declined her rudely. And while she could have obviously gone and tried a 3rd time, it probably would have been pointless at that, because anyway, Naruto passes, you 2 fail. Have fun in the academy for the next year. Kakashi would say as he would then, well, yeah, he would disappear in a sensation, and, well, Naruto somewhat, well, happily, and she'd, well, yeah, she'd disappear in a fox sensation and would reappear outside of Ichiraku Ramen as she wanted to tell Aime and Juchi that she passed and she was now a kunoichi of Konoha. Kakashi, of course, had to go to the Hokage Tower to tell everyone if he was getting deemed passed or failed. He'd arrive, and the receptionist would go, Hatake-san, as Kakashi would go, am I late? And she'd go, no, you're never late. In fact, you're actually an hour early. Kakashi would somewhat just sigh and would somewhat nod and would sit down. An hour would go by, and all the adrenaline would somewhat be there, as Hiruzen would then somewhat come out and go, good, you're all here. Come in. He'd say as they would all enter, and Hiruzen would sit back down in his chair and would say, now then, as he would go through Team 136, which would, or their senses would say they failed. He would skip Team 7, as he always did, as it was somewhat customary to leave Team 7 for last, as he would ask Kuronai, the sensei of Team 8, as she would say that, what's her name? Hinata Hyuga, Shino Abe, and Kiba Inuzuka, all three pass. Here's a midnight and would go, Asuma-kun, what about your team? Asuma somewhat would smile slightly and would say, Shikamaru, Naruto, Akamichi, and Ino Yamanaka, the Inosuke trio, all three pass. Hiruzen would somewhat would nod, though he'd somewhat think to himself as he somewhat would slightly sigh in his head as, well, two teams had currently passed. He had one sensei left to go, and he was somewhat slightly hoping, sure it may have been wrong to hope, but slightly hoping that he'd maybe failed one or two people, so he could add the two people that survived from the somewhat mad sensei's rampage, like tried killing spree. Yeah. As he'd look at Kakashi, as he'd go, Kakashi, what about your team? As he'd go, Sasuke and Sakura failed, they'll be back in the academy. As he'd go, and what about Naruto Uzumaki? She passes. And, well, yeah, once again, I told the team to work as a team twice, in fact. One yesterday and one today before we got going. And while both Sasuke and Sakura had shut down Naruto to work as a team quite rudely, and she had asked twice to work as a team. Once before, like we'd somewhat say, before they'd gotten to know my abilities, or somewhat of abilities, as they didn't really show much off. And the one was somewhat after that, and yeah, as I just stated, they shut it down rudely. Here's a somewhat just nod, and we'd look at Kakashi would say, well, Hokage-sama, I also request that, are there any two genins that if there is any, maybe a genin or two that say currently don't have a sensei, as Hiruzen would somewhat realise Kakashi had failed. Saw both of them, obviously. That wasn't, well, maybe for the, well, obviously to keep on, obviously with his somewhat respect of failing people that didn't show teamwork. Naruto had shown the way that she was very much willing to work with them, even when she had been rudely shut on the first time and had gone back to ask, hey, work as a team. And yeah, even obviously all the Jonin then in there had no qualms of Kakashi just passing while failing those two, as for one obviously one was fangirl, the other one was somewhat, well, they probably all knew, probably wanted revenge against his sister, so at least spending a year in the academy for that they thought was somewhat fair enough, as they could tell he wasn't really playing favourites. Yeah, though Hiruzen would go, though, how was Naruto's performance though? As you go, well, we didn't exactly spar. As he'd go, oh, what do you mean? Well, somewhat, as he'd explain how he'd lost, though he'd leave out the fact that Naruto is an Usu Funjutsu, that she knows that her clan's Uzumaki Funjutsu, and that she knows who her parents are. As Kakashi may trust Hiruzen, but he doesn't exactly know what might happen if he tells Hiruzen something that Naruto, and it was Naruto's own business to tell him. So yeah, the others just sweat dropped at how Kakashi was somewhat easily beaten, though hey, anything goes when you're a ninja. And yeah, and well, they'd also realised that it also meant she very much kept her skills hidden, and yeah, which was even more amazing that she only had to, obviously, the only thing that they could obviously get from that was she was a very, very good sensor, and was also very good at obviously suppressing the chakra to even the likes that even Kakashi couldn't track, though obviously they didn't know that Uzumaki's could suppress their chakra to 0, because if anyone else tried, they would die from obviously 0 chakra circulation. Yeah, anyway, with that I'm gonna end it here, guys. So if you have liked this, tell me in the comments down below. And I have, well, I already know who the 2 people are going to be with Team 7, and I hope you guys like, this somewhat new Team 7. So yes, this new Team 7 consists of all the 2 new genin that will be placed on Team 7, is 1 female, 1 male. They are a year older than Naruto herself. So whereas Naruto is currently 12, they are currently 14. Why they're 14 and she's 12? Well, Naruto's birthday hasn't been yet. Her birthday is October 10th. October 10th hasn't arrived yet, and the academy at that time she was 12 at graduation. So yes. Anyway, as I said, I'm gonna end it here, guys. So if you guys have enjoyed this part, tell me in the comments down below, and yeah, and I very much presume you guys obviously want this to continue to a part 4. Though though next week I'm not going to be uploading this series next week. Next week I'm gonna try something different. Well, I'm gonna somewhat have a new what if though. So next week, the 3rd, will be a new what if that I thought that's somewhat thought of, and you guys may or may not like. I don't really know, but the 10th of Monday the 10th will be part, if you guys want this, part 4 to this series. So yes. Anyway, have a good day or night, depending on wherever you are, and whatever the time is, be that day or night. And I hope you guys stay safe and, well, good. Bye! Good. Bye! Good. Bye!